Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So, not good news out of the Democratic camp. The Democrats are once again learning all of the wrong reasons for their loss, or all of the wrong lessons, I should say. And unless they wake up, they are going to lose a lot of reliable voters, including me. So, here's what just surfaced. Here's why I'm pretty furious. Politico just reported that Michigan Democrat Alyssa Slotkin is going to be providing the response to Donald Trump's State of the Union address tonight. Or I guess it's not technically a State of the Union, but really it is. But anyway, Alyssa Slotkin, because, we've all been clamoring to hear from a standard issue, middle of the road Democrat who never makes waves, who never calls for anything new and innovative. Let's do that. And then, if people watching, probably know who she is, but you guys are into politics. You guys really pay attention to politics. So you may have heard her name, but I guarantee there's some people watching who have no idea who she is. And there are a ton of people out in the wild, out in public, who have never heard of her in their life. So Politico acted like, oh, this is a genius move, because Slotkin, as they pointed out, outperformed Kamala Harris in about 50 of Michigan's counties in the 2024 election. I mean, yeah, look at the way Slotkin is traveling around the country, energizing voters right now, bringing in thousands of attendees. Oh, wait, no, that's Bernie Sanders. They're never going to learn. Yeah. Anyway, these people cannot get out of their way. They cannot get out of their own way. Like I said, anyone outside of Michigan and anyone outside of, like, who are deep into the weeds in politics is not going to know who this woman is. They're going to be like, Alyssa, who? Who is this woman? Like, why? Anyway, Politico went on to write, quote, there are other indications that the party's most immediate answers might come from its moderate wing. And they didn't mean that as an insult. They meant that as a good thing. And then they went on to share that early last month, so in early February, quote, moderate Democratic consultants, campaign staffers, elected officials, and party leaders gathered in Loudoun County, Virginia for a 1.5-day retreat where they plotted their party's comeback. So evidently, this quote-unquote party comeback retreat was organized by the centrist think tank called Third Way. One of Third Way's representatives, a guy named Matt Bennett, he told attendees at this event, quote, in the wake of this election, where it became so evident that the things that the left was doing and saying deeply hurt Harris and down ballot Democrats, a lot of people are looking to us, not just Third Way, but the moderates in the party, and saying, we got to do it your way because the other way ain't working. Really? What other way? What other way is he referring to? Are you kidding me? Kamala Harris ran the most centrist campaign ever. Ever. I mean, she's out with freaking Dick and Liz Cheney campaigning. She's talking about her guns. You couldn't have gotten more mainstream, more moderate than what Kamala Harris tried to do. So anyway, before I get into some of their suggestions that they shared with these attendees, I want to say that overall, I do agree with their analysis that the party needs to connect with the working class better. They need to be better at messaging. They need to focus more on voters' economic concerns. That is all 100% correct. But how they plan to achieve those objectives and who and what they blame for their failures, Could not be more wrong. So here's what I mean by that. Here's some of the 20 proposals that they laid out. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm going to go through some of the ones that Politico was praising, because Politico is run by a corporate captured moderate hack, or captured moderate hacks, I should say. So here's what they wrote, quote, "The party should embrace patriotism, community, and traditional American imagery." So in other words, copy the MAGA right. Don't think for yourself, just do what they're doing, right? Number two, they said Democrats should, quote, "ban far left candidate questionnaires and refuse to participate in forums that create ideological purity tests." Then they also suggested that the party, quote, "move away from the dominance of small dollar donors whose preferences may not align with the broader electorate." I am not kidding. I wish I was. They want to move away from small dollar donors. You couldn't make a worse decision if you tried. Then they also recommended that Democrats should, quote, "push back against far left staffers and groups that exert a disproportionate influence on policy and messaging." Yeah, as if the far left has ever been able to impose their will on the Democratic Party. Are you freaking kidding me? Do you see who the Speaker of the House is right now? Do you see who they chose to head up that one commission? It's Jerry Connolly instead of AOC. Give me a freaking break. I mean, I guess they're talking about how the far left wants them to ditch billionaires and corporate donors, or maybe they're talking about how, the far left was telling them, hey, actively supporting a genocide and funding it is probably not a good move. The next one I actually agree with, but they're always so cringe in the way they say things and their assessment and what they think should be done. So it says that Democratic candidates should, quote, "get out of elite circles," no problem there, "and into real communities, e.g. tailgates, gun shows, local restaurants, and churches." Can you imagine Hakeem Jeffries at a tailgate? Oh my God. "I think I might want a hot dog, but I don't know if I should have mustard or if that might hurt my stomach. So maybe we will go with ketchup. Do you like ketchup?" Guy takes 10 freaking minutes to say something that should take 10 seconds. So anyway, here's a thought. Like, how about if you just act normal? How about if you don't pretend to be something you're not, right? How about if you run a normal candidate or normal candidates, people who act like human beings instead of running elites that act like animatrons or Barack Obama impersonators? Anyway, I mean, here we go again, right? The Democratic Party blaming the left for their failures. Let me remind you how the election went down. The Democratic Party refused to hold a true primary. They also forced Biden in that way down everyone's throat. They even canceled some primaries in states. Florida was one of them that comes to mind. And this was after poll showed voters did not want another Biden-Trump rematch. They said over and over again, why? Why do we have to have these two guys again? The Democratic Party also refused to allow actual leftist candidates into the mix. They were mocking them on cable news. And the party refused to hold debates. You know, we could have all seen Biden's decline. We could have caught that before it was too late. Instead, no, after he pulled a Mitch McConnell freeze frame, glitched on stage, then finally they're like, oh, okay, we better pull him. And then they install Kamala Harris as the candidate at the last minute. I'm not saying she didn't try, right? She did the best she could, but she was listening to the wrong people. And let's remember also, she did not do well in the 2020 primary. She tracks as just another standard issue corporate Democrat, right? She has canned speeches, corporate talking points. And let me give you a little hint as to why. Here's what came out after the election. So Sludge had published an article. This was after the election. They wrote, quote, "In the closing weeks of the presidential campaign, the Harris campaign pivoted its message to focus on the threats to democracy of a second Trump term, putting themes of economic populism on the back burner." They also said, quote, "One anonymous aide told the Associated Press that the campaign believed that 10% of swing state voters were undecided or persuadable, the majority of them Cheney Republicans. In one telling tally for October, Harris appeared more often with Republican former House member Liz Cheney and billionaire Mark Cuban than with Labor leader Sean Fain, president of the United Auto Workers." Yeah. And then Sludge went on to explain why this happened, why this shift took place. They said that there were a lot of Harris advisors who spent many years doing corporate consulting work, and they still have ties to that corporate world, to corporate interests. In fact, some of them were still working with these corporations while they were advising Harris. Conflict of interest, anyone? This is the problem when you have a candidate with no clear ideology of their own. You know, they're willing to do and say whatever these ghouls tell them to, and they think, oh, well, that must work, and I stand for nothing and believe in nothing, so I'll go along with it. And people can smell it on you. When you are not authentic, when you truly don't believe in what you're saying, and you're just saying it because someone told you to, people know. And Sludge also said, quote, "Looking at the Harris campaign's senior strategist shed some light on the campaign's trouble connecting with working class voters. For example, its unwillingness to more clearly identify the forces like billionaires and large corporations standing in the way of populist policies." They also mentioned reporting by the New York Times, which said that Harris, quote, "walked back a proposed tax hike on capital gains in her speeches after talks with allies in finance and big business." So she was going to say, we need to hit these people with a higher capital gains tax. And then she meets with these business leaders and they talk her out of it. And they also cited an article in The Atlantic, which said that at least one of Harris' advisors was, quote, "steering the campaign away from sharp criticism of corporate power, angling toward the approval of big business." And then check this out. This is Crystal Ball over at Breaking Points. She shared, this was again after the election, she shared how corporate interest prevented Kamala Harris from running with a perfect economic populist message. Take a look at this video.
Another New York Times report includes details about how Kamala's super PAC found that an ad on price gouging tested through the roof in terms of effectiveness. Yet, It barely saw the light of day. Quote, another memo issued days later pointed out very high-performing ads that have yet to get a big spend. One ad, Future Forward said, had ranked in the 100th percentile, meaning it was the most effective, yet it had virtually never been aired. So here, everybody, is the ad that Kamala's donors did not want you to see.
I get it. The cost of rent, groceries, and utilities is too high. So here's what we're going to do about it. We will lower housing costs by building more homes and crack down on landlords who are charging too much. We will lower your food and grocery bills by going after price gougers who are keeping the cost of everyday goods too high. I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message because you work hard for your paycheck. You should get to keep more of it. As president, I'll make that my top priority.
So if Third Way wants someone to blame, if they want to see the people responsible for Donald Trump's second term, go look in the freaking mirror. Instead, as always, we're just going to blame the left. So these idiots just always throw the left under the bus, right? After they run such unpopular campaigns or unpopular candidates, they throw the left under the bus. And after they are pandering to corporate interests, and then they go, oh, gee, I wonder why that didn't work again. And if they're going to continue down this road, just suck up to big money donors, then their policies are going to follow suit. That's just the way it goes. So they'll talk a good game of caring about the working class, caring about the working poor, but their policies are not going to reflect that. And they're going to continue to lose. And then they'll blame the left again. And, same song, different verse. I mean, it's ridiculous. And they're going to end up losing support, like I said, because I will peace out. I'm going to be done with them if they keep doing this crap and they refuse to listen to the actual left in the party and as far as economics go. So anyway, guys, that's where we're at. And please reach out to your representatives and let them know, no, we need to increase the number of small dollar donors. We need to get rid of the billionaires and the corporate class in the party. That is the way you win. Anyway, I will let you know if I hear more. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.